You're listening to Thought-Provoking Talk on Dresser After Dark. John Gorgeous with us. He is the author of Oh Beautiful, An American Family in the 20th Century. And he's the editor-in-chief of RAND Review, the flagship magazine of the RAND Corporation, one of the world's prestigious think tanks. And let us say, John, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Great to be here, Michael Ray.
Oh, and thank you so much for being here. John, I think one of the bigger problems today is that and I probably mentioned this 12,000 times on the air in the last 2 weeks, the biggest problem that we have is the outside intervention in the family. Mom and dad today are not the mom and dad of yesteryear, and somehow they've lost their power. If they get too strong in what they want their children to do, you've got welfare services, you've got child services, you've got the police, and these kids, for the most part, know that they can get away with just about anything that they want to get away with. So we've lost that essence, and I would love to hear how we can get it back, because it was so critically important.
I have to disagree with your premises, Michael Ray. I'm sorry, but those were pretty sweeping generalizations regarding what used to be parental involvement in children's lives and what is today what you might call recklessness of children in disobeying parents. I don't know what kind of evidence you might have to justify those claims, but I would say that
John, look at the world around you.
On an individual
John, hold up.
Case-by-case basis.
Wait, John, you can't do case-to-case by this. Listen, look at the world around you. Watch what's going on in television. Listen to what's going on with the teachers. Listen to the lack of respect for the family unit. Listen to all of these different things that are happening today, and it's right there in front of us. You can't do case by case. You have to look at the culture and the way the culture has driven the behaviors and attitudes that we have. I want to go back to what the family was. I think it would be wonderful if we had more strength in family.
It's very interesting because when I wrote my book, I shared a lot of the same myths that we often hold regarding the way that our ancestors came to this country with their noble visions of constructing a city of freedom on the hill. And, not everyone wanted to come to this country to begin with. And a lot of the people who came to this country in the great waves of immigration, say 100 years ago, they were perfectly legal people, but they were not always ethical people. And there were also ferocious arguments about whether people should come to the country, to America in the first place, and often families broke apart because of this. My father's parents divorced because of their disagreement over whether to immigrate to the United States. And to this day, he is now 87 years old.
Yeah.
He still bears the scars of that painful separation of the nuclear family in 1935. So I don't want to completely reject what you are saying, but we have to keep it in context. Yes, today there are unique factors that play into all of society that we all experience. One of them might be simply the widespread diffusion and dissemination of communications technologies.
Sure.
So that children today perceive what children and families are experiencing all over the country. But, if we're going to follow that line of argument and place any blame on television or movies for moral decline of the family unit in our country, we also have to recognize the countervailing benefits of global communications technologies that have liberated the minds and bodies of people around the world, because it is no longer nearly as possible for people to oppress one another in isolated and remote corners of the planet.